Let me start by saying that this is not a book review. This is more of an introduction of the book to people who may not have heard of it or may not know what it's about. Hey everybody, it's Kay, and today I want to talk to you about this book. It is a love song for Ricki Wilde by Tia Williams. I'll let you know that I adored this book. I thought it was really good. I'm not one that will really go out and pick up a contemporary romance book necessarily. I kind of live over in that thriller suspense world, you know? But I went to meet Miss Tia Williams, and just listening to her talk about this book, I knew I had to move it up on my TBR. The way she talked about the characters and the love story in this book, I said, girl, get on it. And I'm so glad that I did, because I was just so happy with what I read. So the story is about a young woman named Richard Wilde Jr., aka Ricki Wilde. She was named after her father because her parents wanted a boy so bad. They had 3 beautiful daughters, and then they had Ricki. Ricki inherited the name. I thought it was very cute and clever how Tia gave her the name. But Ricki is outspoken. She's free-spirited. She's very enthusiastic and optimistic about her future. And she doesn't want to work in the family business, which is the funeral home business. And so her mom and her sisters are very unhappy that she's going off on her own and doing something different. But Ricki's father says, you know what? I'm going to give you a little bit of time to try to make this work. And if it doesn't work, you come back home, you work in the family business. Ricki says, bet. She takes off, she goes to Harlem, and she opens up her own flower shop. And things are, you know, good and bad. They're good and bad when you start new businesses, right? It isn't, you know, an instant success or anything like that, but she's doing fairly well. In Harlem, she meets a wonderful woman, Miss Della, a nonagenarian, who becomes like her grandmother. The two of them form a wonderful friendship. They love and support and encourage one another, and I love their relationship. I just thought it was so beautifully written in this book. She also befriends a young former child star named Tuesday, and Tuesday becomes her ride or live right away. I don't like to say ride or die. I say ride or live, because they will live together as friends forever. That's how I like to see it. And Tuesday is fun. She's no nonsense. And she is the kind of friend who is going to do whatever she can to protect Ricki. And I love that about her. Now, one of the most important characters in this book, of course, is Ezra. And Ezra is a mysterious, enchanting man that Ricki meets in a garden one evening. And although they don't exchange pleasantries at that time, later on they run into each other. And over and over they keep running into each other. And finally Ricki says, you're following me? He's like, no, you're following me. But it's really fate that is bringing the two of them together. They are compelled to be together. They're like magnets drawn together. Their hearts are mended and melded together, if you will. It's just so sweet and so beautiful and so sexy. I love their love story. There is a huge obstacle, though, that the two of them must overcome so that they can continue their romance and live a life happily ever after. Now, there are a lot of things I could say, but I won't, because I don't like to give spoilers. And I know that some people have talked about the big twist in this book, but I don't like to do that in my videos. I like for people to find out certain things on their own. Now, I will say that I know lately we start giving trigger warnings to people because of certain things they don't like to read in a book. I will say that there are 2 traumatic events in Ezra's past that are very important in carrying the story forth. In fact, if not for those 2 very tragic events, there would be no story. So just because someone might read something and say, oh, it's going to be about that, don't think it's going to be about that incident that's mentioned at the beginning of the book and that is going to be talked about all the way through the book, because it's not. Then there's a second incident from Ezra's past that is woven into the fabric of the story, but you can't have a story without that incident. And that's all I'm going to say, so I don't give any spoilers, okay? But I will say this: beautifully written, wonderful characters, a fun ride. This story left my heart singing, and I hope that it will leave your heart singing too. This is a love song for Ricki Wilde by Tia Williams. And I'm going to put in a few pictures at the end of the night I got to meet Tia. This was the evening I got to meet Tia at M. Judson Booksellers in downtown Greenville, South Carolina. She was so warm and so funny and so excited to talk about her new book. I hope you love it too.